Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My brothers and sisters, today I have an interesting video for you. I set up an office in Pakistan last 2 months ago. Basically, 2 months ago is, I would say, when the process started. And now we're in a position where we have confirmed monthly revenues of £5,000 a month. 2 months ago we started. Today we're in a situation where we've confirmed revenue of £5,000 a month. So, well, how did I do it? How have I done it? And how can I share that with you? That's the sort of stuff I want to go through with you today. See, this is a short course. I want to start educating you guys in terms of, things that I set up, in terms of sales, in terms of business. And hopefully you guys get to learn a lot from this video. So try to stay until the end. Share with your family and friends. Hopefully you take your benefits, take your notes, do whatever you have to do. But let's get right into it. So I started a call center in Pakistan. Where did the idea come out from? It's a call center in Pakistan. They call it a BPO. In essence, it's an outsourcing company. So where did the idea come from? The idea came from, I would say, after COVID, when everyone started going remote, or when there were a lot of remote jobs. There's something that I realized. And what I realized is if there are a lot of remote jobs, what that basically means is it means you can be working from anywhere in the world, in essence, right? So a company in the UK now is looking for, a software engineer, right? They hire this software engineer. After COVID, this software engineer is working, 80% of the work is being carried out from home. They're remote working, basically. Well, if they're remote working, then why can't that person, as long as you can find a skilled person, why can't you find that skilled person in Pakistan or India, Bangladesh, or wherever it might well be? Maybe you have links with Bangladesh or Pakistan or India, wherever you're obviously, you guys are watching from. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to mean, by the way, you need links within the country. And though that's something we'll go through later. So that's where the idea came from. If now someone is going to get paid £2,000 in the UK, how much is that going to cost the business? Maybe, 2-3, if you're going to give that person training, if you're going to, have that person in an office environment. There are many other costs to an employee that a company has to, have, basically. So if now a company is paying someone £2,000, actually the cost of that employee is probably going to be, 2,000, 300, 400, obviously depending on how much spending the company does on that employee. And so the idea came about, well, why can't we, as in I, hire people in Pakistan, people who are very well qualified, skilled, and then provide those people at a fraction of the price. So that's where the idea came from. And I understood that actually businesses are going through this transition of remote working. They think that obviously remote working can work. And therefore they're putting in, softwares in place. They're putting in systems in place to manage remote working as well, which obviously means those processes can also work for people working in a country abroad. Now, bearing in mind, you don't have to do this from Pakistan. You could do this from India, like I said, Bangladesh, Thailand, and there are many other countries where there's a lot of skilled employees that you can hire, in essence, and you need to basically get them the business. You need to bring the two together. And again, we'll go through that. So, well, what was the first step? The first step for me was, I guess, understanding that can something like this even work? Putting in the right procedures, making one and one add up, and seeing actually, can the process work? Can the system work? What sort of obstacles am I going to face? And the reality is this: you will not know the obstacles you guys face until you go out and actually carry out the work. A lot of people will think to themselves, well, I'm going to start a business. What if it fails? I'm going to start something. What if something goes wrong? The reality is you can't know something will go wrong until you carry out the business, whatever it is, until you start the process. You cannot really understand, what is going to mess up until you start. So the first thing is start. That's what I would say. You have to start. And that's exactly what I did. I went to Pakistan. I was there on a holiday. I started looking at how much an office was going to cost me from the UK. Obviously, I can sit in the UK or Dubai at the time. I was in Sharjah. And so I was looking at, well, how much is the office going to cost me in Pakistan? Again, right now, and I'll get to where and what we are and what we're planning on doing now. But in the beginning, I have this concept, and I don't say I have this concept because actually this concept exists, but I always go about going ahead and doing proof of concept. Proof of concept meaning seeing if something works, seeing if you can make money on something, and as long as you can make money on a smaller level, then evidently that should technically work on a larger level. The risks of something, working on a smaller level, as in there's risks of something not working on a larger level if they're working on a smaller level, are obviously much less compared to if you had just gone for the full whack. And so I started looking at offices. How much does an office cost in Pakistan? Now, it does depend. It does depend what sort of furniture. Is it coming furnished? Is it, what sort of area you're looking at? I have links, and I say links, but my family are from Lahore in Pakistan. And so we decided to, when I say we, I decided to start an office in Pakistan, Lahore, because it's, again, an area I'm more familiar with. And I guess I know that there are certain things I have to bear in mind. What are those? You need to bear in mind, if you're going to take out an office, that the office is an area where the employees that you hire can easily travel to that area. I think that's very important, because the worst thing you could do is get something really cheap, get something really affordable, fab, but then actually when you're trying to hire people, it might not be easy for you to hire people and, get them to come to the office. Having said that, in the beginning, it might not matter as much. But you obviously do have to bear in mind, if you take out an office in a bit more of a remote area and people have to travel there, that might be fine in the beginning. Let's say you then decide to expand. Those people might be closer to that remote area and they will maybe need to travel into more busy areas, which obviously can be a bit of an issue. These are all the things that you have to bear in mind. When you're starting the proof of concept process, don't be thinking to yourself, it's just hiring 4 or 5 people. I'm just going to make the £5,000-6,000 a month and I'm happy. You need to be thinking ahead. You need to be thinking at the point where, you are making 50, 60, 70,000 pounds a month. That's very realistic. And again, I'll go through how and why and, where we are and how we've gone about doing something like that. So I took out an office. I decided to go for an office which was furnished. By that, we had chairs, we had the desk, we had AC in there. We had, certain things that were already in there. And that ended up costing me 1,40,000 rupees. The rates fluctuating at the moment, is going up and down. But just to give you guys an idea, in terms of pounds, that is, I will give you the exact amount right now. So in terms of pounds right now, that works out to be £368. We've just done the quick maths. Before, it was close to the 400 mark. But the point being is £368 is what my office cost me. In fact, I'll put a picture in just now so you can have an idea of what the office looks like. And so the cost of the office isn't that much. Electricity is something that you have to bear in mind. You will have to pay the electricity on top. There are other costs. Electricity does also... it goes through a process where basically you have no electricity for a couple of hours in the day in Pakistan. That can happen. And so you need to have a backup system. And that system can... So my office costs 1,40,000 rupees, which is about £350. And then we got some things in place. So let's go run through roughly how much those things cost me. I got a UPS, and a UPS is basically, in essence, it's batteries, and those batteries are charged, and when the electricity goes for the couple of hours in the day, that then supports the system where, it provides electricity and makes sure that your laptops and networks are still running. So that cost me, it was again about 1.5 lakh rupees. That system cost me to install it, to get the batteries and that sort of stuff. So that's how much that cost me. I also then got cameras fitted in, and you can go for a cheaper option. of just getting some cameras fitted in. And honestly, it probably won't cost you more than 70-80 pound for 2 or 3 cameras to have in the office. It just means that you can sit in the UK, America, Canada, wherever you are, Dubai, and you can run your office, you can be abroad, and you can be checking your phone and make sure that everyone's working. I think that's important. You are obviously not necessarily going to be living in the country where you are setting up the office, and so it's important for you to understand actually you need to have certain processes in place so you can keep an eye on everything. And so we took out the office, we took out the UPS system, which is the batteries, we got cameras installed. I'll talk about the internet a little bit later because I think that's a little bit more technical. That stuff, a lot of this stuff can happen from you being sat in the country abroad. You can have conversations with suppliers, you can have conversations with people from abroad. And then when you go to the country, and I would recommend you going to the country, if you're trying to set up something properly, then going to the country and implementing that. So we carried that out. I went to the office, I went to Pakistan, I stayed there for 2 weeks, and that was a process of just setting everything up. Now, you're obviously going to have to employ someone. You're obviously going to have to hire employees. And so if we park the office to the side for a little bit and just talking about hiring people, it's very, very, very important for you to pay more and get the right skilled people. I would definitely not recommend you guys going cheap on your employees and therefore actually, they're not able to provide the right service and they're not able to provide the right level of work or the right expertise in the areas of what service they're providing to companies in the UK, Canada, and America. So, to give you guys an idea, you can find someone for 40,000 rupees a month, which is in essence £100, 110, £100. And so, I would rather pay someone closer to £200, nearly double of, the salary that you can maybe find someone to get someone really good. 80,000 rupees a month, is definitely above average, the salary in Pakistan. You want to pay your people good, of course. You want retention as well. You don't want it where you're hiring people and then a month later they're moving for 5,000 rupees. That's something you want to avoid, because if that's happening, then, it's going to mean a lot of work. Actually, it's much better for you to spend that extra 50, £100. Even if it's extra £100, it makes more sense to hire someone really good, keep that retention, and make sure that people aren't leaving. And you're obviously going to do that by paying them the right amount, and you're obviously going to do that by providing the right sort of professionalism in a working environment. And sometimes in third world countries, and I say that in the most respectful way, professionalism sometimes is lacking. And so I think us coming from Western countries, some people really appreciate that, and I think that needs to be pushed even more. I definitely found that when I was interviewing people that, they really appreciated the professionalism that we were coming with, or rather I was coming with, and they appreciated the fact that they felt like they would be comfortable in an environment and a working environment, and they would be paid well. And little things like, if, for example, the country, medical insurance, for example. Now, of course, insurance itself is not permissible, but medical insurance, when it's darura, necessity, in which case in Pakistan, many of the people of knowledge, they say it is necessity, of course, then, doing something like medical insurance for your employees, something like that holds a lot of value and doesn't actually cost that much. So definitely paying your people the right amount, having the professionalism. How do you go about finding people? That's something I want to cover. When it came to hiring, we hired through a couple of avenues. And so what really worked for us was Indeed. That's my first protocol. That's my first place that I start. I've hired in Dubai. I've hired in Pakistan. And Indeed works really well. Why? It's cheap. It cost me, I think, £5-6 to run an advert. I put the advert on, and if your salary's right, if you're offering the right sort of package in a country like Pakistan, you will get people applying. In fact, on a daily basis, we probably get around 15 to 20 applications per day, which is a lot. And, you know, at any one time, we've got 4 or 5 jobs running. So, you know, I'm getting like 50 applications per day. Now, obviously, many of them won't be relevant and many of them aren't relevant. And, you know, I'll get a lot of lower skilled people applying to jobs where, you know, it's not right for them. You know, for me, English is a necessity and it's difficult. I have to speak to a lot of people to get the right person. So Indeed definitely worked. I used Indeed to get a lot of people. And again, something that you can do from sitting in a country, UK, Canada, America, wherever you are. You can sit in those countries and put the advert on. And now you've got, you know, 30, 40 applications coming in on a daily basis. And then it's just a case of, first, I was calling the candidates and just, you know, having a conversation. But I was finding it was wasting a lot of time because, unfortunately, I was having to sift through a lot of the not great stuff. And this is something I wanted to do completely myself because I enjoy it. I could have just paid someone and they just speak to the candidates and they just tell me if they've got good English or not. But it's something that I wanted to do all by myself because it's something that I feel passionate about and I want to teach you guys as well. So I started speaking to the candidates, but I was finding a lot of the people sometimes didn't know English at all, to be fair. And even though they said they did, and even on their CVs, they were really well written CVs, but when I would call them, I would say like, "Oh, you know," and of course, I'm trying to understand whether they can speak English because speaking English is a major part of what we are going to provide to clients in UK, Canada, and America. And that's something I'll go through with you guys as well, what exactly we will be providing. So bear with me. But when I would call the candidates, you know, I would say, "Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. It's Abu Musa speaking. You applied for one of my vacancies. Have you got a minute?" The response I would sometimes get is, "Hello, G," as in I can't hear you, you know. But the reality was they couldn't speak English to an adequate level, and maybe they weren't understanding me. That's what it seemed like anyway. And so I had to go through a lot of candidates. And so what I learned then is rather than calling each candidate, I'm going to start sending a WhatsApp message. That's why I asked one of the admin guys to just send out WhatsApp messages. And then depending on how they responded, I felt like you see, because the work that we're going to provide, it involves an element of sending emails and understanding English and not just speaking English, but actually writing English as well. So if they can't reply back to a WhatsApp message professionally and, you know, with good English, then obviously that raises questions, right? So that's exactly what we started doing. And with that, you know, we had success. We had some candidates and, you know, we basically lined up the interviews. And this is the first time I went to Pakistan. The first time I went to Pakistan, we had the office. You know, you guys might have seen a couple of the videos and stuff like that. But I was there and I started interviewing people. So I interviewed people. And, you know, the truth was there were a lot of average candidates, but I was finding it hard to find exceptional candidates. It just meant that I was having to interview 10 people to get one really good person. But that's something I was willing to do because I wanted to make sure that the service that I'm providing to my clients on my side, it's going to be a good service. That's obviously the hard graft that I have to do then. I have to speak to 20 people to get 2 really good candidates, right? I have to interview 20 people to get 2 really good candidates. And that's something that I was willing to do. That's something I had to do, to be fair, so I could provide a good service. And so after interviewing 20 people, you know, we did get some really good candidates. We got some good qualified people speaking some really good English. I think at the time though, I wasn't aware that I was going to come through some obstacles. So just to give you guys an idea, and I'll go through this as well. This is the first time I was in Pakistan. We had our office. So I liked a few people, offered them the job. And in the meantime, we went about setting up the internet system. You know, it was just calling up the internet provider, setting up the system. Yeah, come in. You know, we got this full package. I think it was like something crazy, like 200 MB, whatever it was. It was a good package. The internet speed was amazing. But then when we went to go about setting up the phone system, we found out in Pakistan, you have to get your IP whitelisted. You have to do something, basically. Don't ask me what it is. You have to go through a system. It's called IP whitelisting. Your internet needs to be whitelisted for you to carry out phone calls to Canada, America, and US. Canada, America, and UK, rather. So that's something we weren't aware of. So we hired people, but then had this issue of, actually, we can't start. We can't start until this whitelist IP internet issue gets sorted out. So in essence, what ended up happening is we weren't told, it wasn't communicated well. They offered us a internet package. Though we were an office, they offered us an internet package which was more for households, or, it wasn't really for companies. It wasn't for companies. So then we had to go about getting internet for companies. That process can take 2 or 3 weeks. I was only there for 10 days. So now I was in an issue of, I was there to train people, hire them and train them, because I was going to train them for a week, but I couldn't train them because we can't make calls to companies in the UK, Canada, America. So I had to make the call then that I have to push things back 1 month. I then had to come back to the UK, but I liked one person definitely more than others, and I'm sure he's watching this. And so I decided to get him on board straight away, which meant that even though I came back to the UK, if I felt like there was someone really good, I would hire that person, and that person can do the legwork whilst I'm in the UK. And that person would be more of a manager. And so Yawar, if you're watching this, I appreciate you. Yawar is his name. So he came and, I had a conversation with him. I asked him to come to my hotel. We sat down in the reception. We had a conversation for a couple of hours. Well, it was an hour or so. Obviously, I kept in touch with him. And that's the thing. When you speak to someone good, when you have a good person working for you, be good to him and be good to her and keep good relations and keep them happy. It's very important. And so what that ended up doing is there were a few things that needed to be completed, such as the internet, whitelisting the internet. Now I can ask Yawar to interview people and he can hire people, and then I can have the final say. And so it helps a lot. So hiring initially a couple of managers definitely helps. And that's what I would suggest to you guys, that when you are setting up a call center or a consultancy in a company abroad, in a country abroad, definitely have someone who you can rely on, who's hardworking, who could do the legwork whilst you're away. And, fortunately for us, we found that person. And so we now basically, we're in a process of, hiring managers and hiring senior staff. The reason we want to hire senior staff is currently, we're at a level of 5-6 people. Currently, that's the sort of numbers we're looking at in terms of employees. So 5-6 people will probably look after business about £5,000-6,000. That is net profit. Cost of them, the cost of the office, taking that out. If I've got 6 employees, I'm probably looking at a profit of roughly £5,000 net profit. Net profit, by the way, just to emphasize, because obviously this is a bit of an educational video. Net profit meaning after your costs, you're taking your costs out, and that's the sort of money that you're pure profit, basically. So we are currently in a situation where, we want to get to a level of 50 to 60 employees within a matter of 3 months. And that's the sort of targets, and that's the sort of pressure, and that's the sort of process that I am putting on everyone else. And I obviously will, I will be leading that. I'll be the first one. I'll be the first one in pushing this forward. So right now we have an office which actually accommodates about 12 people. I want about 6-7 people in there maximum. I don't want more than that, just because of room, space, that sort of thing. And now I will be going back to Pakistan in 2 weeks after you see this video. And I will be, inshallah, taking out an office which accommodates at least 70 plus people. Why? Because I take this back to the beginning of the video where I said proof of concept is very important. Proof of concept is there. We took out the office. We had a few stumbling points. We got that sorted by getting the right internet and processes in place. I'll tell you about what we do and how we're going to do it and how we got the clients as well, because I think that's a very important point. And then VoIP phones. I want to tell you about VoIP phones, voice over internet phone. Basically, you're going to need a voice over internet phone in the country that you're going to have these employees. What that basically means is someone in Pakistan can make a call with a number from the UK, Canada, or America, and the client doesn't necessarily know where this person is. So if now I ask, Bilal, for example, to make sales calls from Pakistan, actually the person who's picking up the phone, doesn't actually know whether this person is from Pakistan or is from the UK, because the number that comes up will be from the UK, Canada, or America. So they do not know, where this person is. That also then helps our employees in providing a good service to the clients. And I just want to make sure I'm mentioning everything. So forgive me for going through this a little bit slowly, but hopefully you guys are benefiting from it all. And subscribe to the channel, by the way, if you haven't already, because I'm trying to teach you guys a lot of things, and I will be making a lot more of these type of videos where I'll actually go through long form content, and we'll go through the issues and businesses and different things, and I'll walk you through all of the processes. And so you have to basically, once you've got the whitelist IP done, you have to get the voice over internet phone. That also has a charge. It is dependent on who your provider is or whatever they are, but it will be something like 0.05, 0.06 pence per call. So even that does have a bit of an expense. You have to factor in your rent, your monthly expenditure, how much it's going to cost, as in for you to make these calls, your employees. You have to factor all your costs in. And so what I would say, it's very important for you to stay on top of your numbers. Once you're on top of your numbers, actually, the rest of it is much easier. So stay on top of your numbers so you can generally figure out how much profit you're going to make on top of your expenses. So always do your numbers, work out your expenses, work out how much it's costing you to run what you're running a month, and only then can you start thinking about how much you're going to charge to the client or the customer. So how did we get to a point then where we are basically now, we've got in essence guaranteed £5,000 worth of business a month? And the reason is because we're providing such a great service to our customers and clients for a fraction of the price that it's a no-brainer. And I genuinely believe that. If I was now looking for people in the UK, I would 100% take up the opportunity to hire people in Pakistan, because it's going to cost me 15%, of what it's going to cost me in the UK. It makes complete sense. So I'm going to put it in the description below. It's our Instagram is Corey Solutions. That's our consultancy in Pakistan. If you guys are interested and you want to hire people in Pakistan, then hit us up there on Instagram, and I'll send you guys, and one of the team members will get in touch with you and speak to you and go through the rates with you and stuff like that. But what we will be providing, and this is so you guys have an idea, and I'm completely fine for you to go do this yourself, by the way. But we will be providing people to carry out sales calls, cold calling, winning business, lead generation for companies in the UK, Canada, and America. So why do I think that's of benefit? The people I've spoken to in Pakistan, they speak some, amazing English. I know that's a question that's going to be in your minds. Can they actually speak great English? Are they going to come with an accent? Yes, there is an accent there, but it's not the harsh accent that you're thinking, and it is completely fine and very, very good for someone to carry out sales calls and call from Pakistan. 100%, I think it would do really well. And you guys have to bear in mind this. For the end client, for the end customer, what they're thinking about is, if I am spending £300, £400, £500 a month on an employee, how much return am I making? If that employee can give you a return of even, £20,000 or £30,000 a year, which is, by the way, very minimal, right? That's huge. That's a huge return. And it means less risk for the employer. So the company that you are going to be providing these employees for, it's a less risk because you're managing the people. The work's going to get done regardless, irrespective of whether they're sick or, they're not sick, or they come in or they're not. The work still has to get done. And so it does take up, it takes away a lot of pressure, a lot of stress from the company that you're providing these employees for. So it makes complete sense. We will be providing sales calls. Our employees will be providing sales, cold calling, lead generation, customer service, and also administrative tasks. That could be, doing some research for companies and whatever that might well be, right? That's what we're starting with, though there isn't a cap on this. It could be anything. A lot of people are already, for example, building a team of within social media, video editors, graphic designers, thumbnail designer, whatever sort of thing, and then providing those people to content creators and other things. And actually, they're doing really well because they hire them 50, 60, 70,000 rupees a month, and then they go get the business. And when they go get the business, obviously they're making a hefty little markup. So how do you go get these customers? How do you go get these clients? My ice cream is here, guys. So guys, obviously forgive me for the ice lolly, but this is a long video and I'm getting a little bit thirsty. And actually it's 2 o'clock. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. So if you haven't liked this video, like this video, right? So how did we go about getting, the clients, and how do we go about getting companies who are actually looking for these people? I think social media, one, is massive. I think the more people that are aware of this, even this video, I'm sure that there are going to be people who are going to be saying, we need people, we want to hire people, 100% from this video alone. So social media is massive. Social media helps a lot. Create content on LinkedIn, create content on social media. It definitely helps. And that's definitely where we started. Though I'll emphasize something. If your service is so good, you can just market it a little bit and people will definitely be interested. And so that's exactly what we've done. Actually, if you can get 20 people, right? 20 paying people, 20 people to pay you £300 a month, right? You're looking at £6,000 the company is making by just 20 people paying £300 a month. Right? And that's not a lot of money. Actually, £300 a month for someone to make calls for you every single day, to build a list for you, to, keep on top of your clients, to then keep in touch with them. Actually, it makes complete sense. Less risk, costs a fraction, the work is getting done regardless. And 20 paying customers and you're making £6,000 a month. So this is a very, very, very small level. We have only just I can't even define what we've just done because it's at a very small level. Now, if we're looking to get to 60, 70 employees, what that basically means is, well, look, I'll let you guys do the maths, right? Because also one employee, we're probably looking at a roughly £1,000 net profit a month per employee. And we want to get it to, 70 employees in 3 months, though the capacity of that office will definitely be more to the 150, 200 mark. We want to take out a big office because I'd rather just take out that big office once. And then it's just a case of getting employees in and, getting the business. And I think as long as the service is good, and I think the service is good, you can actually end up doing really well. So that's basically what I am doing, and now I'm sharing that with you guys, and that's exactly what you guys can do as well. Employees, the way we're going to go about going from 5-6 people to 60 people is by hiring managers. We're going to hire managers because those managers will go on to hire their employees. If I hire a manager and I ask him to hire 10 employees, then that's, 10 people, let's just say, right? 9 employees, that's 10 people. That then means if I have 5 managers and they each hire 9 employees under their team, that's 50 employees. It's very easy, very quickly you can grow. But if you have one manager and you ask that one manager to hire 50 employees, very difficult because one, the level of people you're getting is not a lot. Now, this I would say roughly cost me about £4,000 to £5,000 all in, maximum, including I would say even flights, £4,000 or £5,000. So it's definitely something that you can do from the UK. I guess it's just a case of I picked up my bags, I went and I started, and a lot of people aren't willing to do that. A lot of people are not willing to take the steps. Everything I hope I've explained isn't actually that hard. It isn't complicated. It's just about doing it. Most people aren't willing to just do it, right? Most people aren't willing to book a flight to Pakistan and take out an office and just start the process. You will not learn, and you will not make mistakes, and you will not understand the process, and you'll definitely not make money until you start. And so I'll leave it there, and hopefully that explains a lot. Ask me any questions you want in the description. Ask me any questions you want in the comments. I'll answer them as best as I can. Maybe I'll make another video depending on the questions you guys ask me. But hope this video's helped you guys. Barakallahu feek. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.